Sorry, sir, I can't let you in unless you show me your vaccine passport. That could be the scenario we're facing over the coming months as the Biden administration plans a national vaccine passport program. Hi, Dave here from Informed American. I hope you're all having a great day. We're also going to get to another study, I don't think you think shocking revelations, but some interesting revelations from ex-CDC director Redfield. We're going to get to that in just a bit, but the main topic today is the Biden administration's national vaccine passport program. What do you think of that? And the question we posed in the title, is this the end of medical privacy, or is it just the beginning of the end of all privacy? Could be potentially scary stuff. Now, officials are trying to balance the idea of, okay, well, we've got all these vaccines out here. We want everyone to get them, and we cannot reopen the economy unless we can be sure that the population has been vaccinated. We're going to continue to keep things, we're not really locked down now, but we can't fully reopen unless we know that everyone is safe. And we're seeing, by the way, you can't get entry into the United States. They don't require a proof of vaccine, but you have to have a negative COVID test. We're going to be seeing this with international travel requiring some proof of vaccination. And I will say at the top, something to bear in mind, keep in mind as we're going through this. And by the way, I want to know what you think about this topic as I'm going through all the details here. Comment down below as we're going through this. Let me know what you think. It's most important to get your feedback on these daily topics. Now, vaccination is interesting because so far, from what we've learned from those who've gotten vaccinated and through the clinical trials, is that the vaccine does not stop the spread of COVID-19. It only reduces your symptoms. So I think that's important to kind of keep in mind going on here. Yes, you may have been vaccinated, but it doesn't mean you're not spreading the virus. So what does the passport actually say beyond the fact that you've gotten the shot? Is that you are less sick, potentially, or have gotten less sick. It doesn't change the fact of transmission. That can still be going on. It makes you wonder, well, what would be the point, right? In a passport, only to prove that you have less you have less symptoms, or that your symptoms are less severe, not that you won't be able to spread the virus to whatever place you're trying to get to that requires a passport. So I find that interesting. It almost seems a bit pointless, doesn't it? But don't you worry, the government is forming a plan, a potential national vaccine passport program. This comes from the Washington Post. Biden administration in private companies. Remember what I said last week? Private companies, no, they are not necessarily your friend. No, large corporations are not conservative, and so just keep that in mind. Private companies are working to develop a standard of handling credentials, often referred to as vaccine passports, that would allow Americans to prove they have been vaccinated against the novel coronaviruses as businesses try to reopen. We cannot reopen until we see your proof of vaccine, sir. The effort has gained momentum amid President Biden's pledge that the nation will start to regain normalcy this summer, and with growing numbers of companies from cruise lines to sports teams saying they will require proof of vaccination before opening their doors again. You want to go see St. Louis Cardinals play this summer? Well, show your proof of vaccine. Yeah, you want to go on that cruise to the Bahamas? Not getting on board unless you showed me you gotten the shot. The administration's initiative has largely been, by the way, summer. That's overly optimistic. As we reported here a couple of weeks ago, they're still talking Christmas. Yes, Christmas before getting back to normal. And by the way, just because you get the vaccine, it doesn't mean you stop wearing your mask. So don't think that's going away anytime soon. And Fauci is concerned that young children are playing together without wearing masks. I got to tell you, in my neighborhood here, there's a lot of kids. They're all outside, which is great to see. Kids not sitting at home watching Netflix or on an iPad or something. The kids in my neighborhood actually come out here. They ride their bikes. They go out into the woods and all that. None of them are wearing masks. Okay, it's okay, Dr. Fauci. They're outside. They're playing. Let's just cool it a little bit. All right. But yeah, the mask thing is, it doesn't end just because you get the vaccine. So don't count on that ending. And if you're lucky, if you're lucky, the government will let you celebrate Christmas with your family. But we'll see. Maybe next Easter. The administration, it's the Department of Health and continuing the article. Sorry for the digression there. The arms of the Department of Health and Human Services, including an office devoted to health information technology, meaning managing your data. The White House says this month it took on a bigger role coordinating government agencies involved in the work led by coronavirus Jeff Zients. The White House declined to answer questions. Not surprisingly, this administration is very tight-lipped. And if you watched the Biden press conference, he basically had a cheat sheet of who to go to, what the questions were going to be, and who not to call on. Our role is to help ensure that any solutions in this area should be simple, free, open source, accessible to people both digitally and on paper, and designed from the start to protect people's privacy. Sure. Now, free usually means well, the government ostensibly would be paying for it, I guess. But if you've ever used a free platform like, say, Facebook or Twitter, the product is not the service. You are the product, with your data being sold for advertising. The initiative has emerged as an early test of the Biden administration, with officials working to coordinate across dozens of agencies and a variety of experts, including military officials, helping administering vaccines, and health officials engaging in international vaccines efforts, right? Now, this says you could get some sort of a code that you could put on your smartphone, so that when you walk up to, this is saying maybe even restaurants, by the way. So if you want to go out to eat, you'll have to show them proof of a code. And this goes on to saying that we're seeing this in the European Union. By the way, New York State is starting to roll out something as well. I believe April 2nd is the day for some sort of a vaccine passport. Officials are grappling with an array of challenges, including data privacy. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. And healthcare equity. They want to make sure that all Americans will be able to see credentials and prove that they have been vaccinated, but also want to set up systems that are not easily hacked, or passports that cannot be counterfeited, given that forgeries are already starting to appear. Now, they don't like this vaccine passport. They don't like the term because they think that it's something that is basically they don't like the vaccine passport term because they think it's something that's initiated by the government. So they want to try to get rid of that name a bit. But also New York, they mentioned here New York State, and I'm just reading here, rapidly moving forward, even as the White House deliberates how to best track the shots and avoid the perception of a government mandate to be vaccinated. Now, it's not mandated by the government, but if you don't have it, you can't participate. So isn't that sort of the same thing? I mean, what's the ostensible difference? And this has been the problem that we've been seeing here in the digital life recently. The government isn't imposing it necessarily. We're working in partnership with private companies. No, you're not mandated. But if you don't have a vaccine, how do you participate in daily life? Well, I don't know. Nobody has the answer. And by the way, I was looking for this quote here for not liking the term vaccine passports, adding that passports are something issued by the governments. I think of them as vaccine credentials or certificates. Does that make you feel more comfortable? Now, Dr. Naomi Wolf appeared on Fox News, and she shared her concerns about a vaccine passport, rather. So I want to know what you think about this. I'm just going to play this clip here really quick.
I am not overstating this. I can't say it forcefully enough. This is literally the end of human liberty in the West if this plan unfolds as
the end of human liberty in the West. Strong statement. Naomi continues.
Planned. Vaccine passport sounds like a fine thing if you don't understand what those platforms can do. I'm CEO of a tech company. I understand what this platform does. It's not about the vaccine. It's not about the virus. It's about your data. And once this rolls out, you don't have a choice about being part of the system. What people have to understand is that any other functionality can be loaded onto that platform with no problem at all. And what that means is it can be merged with your PayPal account, with your digital currency. Microsoft is already talking about merging it with payment plans. Your networks can be sucked up. It geolocates you everywhere you go. Your credit history can be included. All of your medical history can be included. This has already happened in Israel. Yeah. And 6 months later, we're hearing from activists that it's a two-tier society and that basically activists are ostracized and surveilled continually. It's the end of civil society, and they're trying to roll it out around the world.
Okay, so we're stopping there. So you can see the problem developing already. Your medical history will be on file. This is the beginning of the end. And Naomi Wolf goes on saying this is a violation of the First Amendment. It will be a violation of HIPAA laws. This is the wedge to get all of your information, and the beginning potentially of something like a social credit system that we've seen in China, where if you don't do what the regime wants you to do, you get a negative score. She's saying this is integrating. Basically, these companies will have a giant digital profile of everything. Health was the big thing. Health was something they were missing. Yeah, sure, Facebook might know what sites you view, what products you buy, but they don't know your personal health information. And wow, isn't this a wedge to get that? Something also to be aware of, as Dr. Wolf says, could we be getting into a two-tier society, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated? And if you aren't vaccinated, see, this is how it works in China. They have a social credit score, which is sort of like, I guess if you could think of it, if you're not familiar with this, we have our own credit score in terms of how well we pay our bills, which includes things like our debt to income ratios, whether we pay our bills on time, how big our debt loads are, something like that. So we kind of understand the idea of a credit score. They do it socially. So are you saying the right things on social media? They also use it because I guess littering is a big problem. So if you litter, you might get dinged on that. And everyone's competing for a higher score, because the higher score you get, the more potential opportunities there are for you in that society. Well, this could be the beginning of a credit score in the United States, a social credit score. Or if you don't do what the powers that be want you to do, you could be potentially, as Dr. Wolf says, ostracized from society. So she mentioned an example from Israel. I guess taking from her comments, I would assume that those who haven't been vaccinated in Israel, she's saying you're being tracked either way. So if you have the vaccine, you're being you would be tracked as well. Well, because of course, if you have something on your smartphone that proves that you're vaccinated, well, yes, they're tracking your location as you go from restaurant to sports arenas, to stores, wherever it is. Yes, every time you open that app, it will ding to a GPS location, so they'll know where you're going. And then I guess if they can follow, they know who has the vaccine and then who doesn't, well, they start tracking you as well. And you become essentially a political dissident just by virtue of not having your vaccine passport. And what do authoritarian regimes do to dissidents? Well, it's not good, and we see what's going on in China. Is that coming here to the United States? By the way, story here from Breitbart, speaking of China, Chinese Communist Party experts urged World Health Organization on Tuesday to let China build and run a global database for vaccine passports, documenting if every person on Earth has received a Chinese coronavirus vaccine. And you can see why. Well, they're very good at it. They're very good at tracking their citizens and everything they do. So I guess you let the best run it, right? Oh, don't worry. The Chinese will get your data one way or another. They'll know everything about your medical history. Eventually, these people will know everything about you. And as I said, health data is essentially the gold mine. And once they get that, they've got everything on you. So what do you think about vaccine passport? And I understand we have to reopen the economy. I get it. Now we don't necessarily, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, the vaccine doesn't prevent the spread of coronavirus. It only lessens symptoms. So how about instead of using just to play both sides here, I understand the demand that officials have to say, look, if we can document that everyone's been vaccinated, well, then now we can reopen. But we could just use other metrics beyond forcing you to put something on your phone or carry around a piece of paper that says you've gotten the vaccine. We could use the metrics we've been using over the last year. Cases, deaths, could use those as a rubric for whether or not we reopen. If deaths go down to almost nothing, well then, yeah, I think it's safe. Plus, we could just know how many people have been vaccinated. The Biden administration is upping its goal to 200 million. So let's just say, what is it, 330 million people here in the United States? Well, if there's 330 million vaccinations, well, then we don't need a passport anymore, do we? Because we know almost everyone has gotten it, and nothing's going to reach 100%. In anything. We can get to the 90%, say there's 300 million people there that have gotten the vaccine. If we can confirm those dosages have been given, well, that works fine for me. I don't need to see the passport because I already know the majority of the population has been vaccinated. And again, if cases and deaths are down, and even if cases are up, but deaths are way, way down, hospitalizations are way, way down, then I think that's good enough to say, look, we can reopen. And many of you say, look, just reopen anyway, because we have to get our lives back to normal, and requiring me to carry around this digital passport that's going to track my movements and eventually find all of my health history and beginning in the beginning of a social credit system is abhorrent. I absolutely understand those concerns. Let me know what you think down below about that. Now, quickly here, as we're moving through here, I'm not going to hang out too much longer, but I did mention this at the top, so I do want to get to it. Former CDC chief says most likely cause of coronavirus escape from a lab. Yes, we're still debating this, by the way. We still don't know where the coronavirus came from, and this is news because we're supposed to get a draft report from the World Health Organization, and the Washington Post got an early report, got a draft of the official report. Sorry, I'm talking over myself here. Says the likely source that it was animals was a likely source of COVID-19. I know many people have been skeptical about this. I think from the beginning, many people, including myself, said, yeah, leaking from the lab makes a whole lot of sense. And for some reason, the media, the World Health Organization, and China just keep seemingly want to bury this under the rug. When the World Health Organization went there, when the United States wanted to go there, China would only had an approved list of people who could visit. And this is a whole rabbit hole you can go down, which we've talked about over the past couple of months. But the draft report appears to be saying it came from bats to humans was the most likely scenario, and that a lab leak was unlikely. Well, our own former CDC director disagrees. He says the virus initially escaped from a lab in Wuhan, China, which surprises no one, but it's too early to know for sure, and investigations are ongoing. Yes, because the Chinese government does not, if that is true, the Chinese government does not want that information to go out. And of course, the Chinese government is in bed with the World Health Organization. Redfield stressed he was not implying intentionality. No credible scientist, including Redfield, believes the virus was man-made, this is already a sticking point here. Now, man-made meaning completely created out of the lab. But I think what Redfield thinks is this was a virus that was taken probably from a bat and then somewhat altered in a lab, and then it escaped. He says, I am the point of view that I think the most likely etiology, meaning origin, of this pathogen in Wuhan was from a laboratory, escaped. Now other people don't believe that. That's fine. Science will eventually figure it out. It's not unusual for respiratory pathogens that are being worked on in a laboratory to infect the laboratory worker. And you can find out all this stuff. You can go down this rabbit hole. But I wanted to bring your attention to this because there's a report coming out soon that says this just came from a bat or a pangolin or something like that, and it happened basically naturally. And I'm not buying it. The former CDC director isn't buying it. And in fact, Washington Post's Josh Rogan does a really good job of breaking this down as well. So beware. We're getting propaganda from all sides, everybody. So it's good to stay ahead of it's all narrative now. That's all it is. And it's good to be able to be, you want to be an informed American, you got to look at all sides. You got to look a little bit beyond, under the hood, to get to the truth. So I wanted to share that with you. What do you think? Do you think the virus escaped from a lab? Do you believe it's natural in origin? People just happened to get it from a bat or something like that? Or do you believe this ex-CDC director, Redfield, who says this thing escaped from a lab and China was basically covering it up? So let me know what you think down below. But I also want to know what you think about vaccine passports. The Biden administration is working on a national vaccine passport program. And what this could mean if you're choosing not to get the vaccine, potentially being ostracized from society. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you think. Or if you think it's a good idea, I want to know what you think as well. If you're watching here on Facebook, please hit the like button, share this video with your friends. If you're catching us on YouTube, we'd love it if you hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. We always want you to hang out here on informedamerican.com. Comment down below. Let me know all your thoughts. And I want you to join 250,000 subscribers. Sign up for our free daily email newsletter. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.